a limelight kind of thing. So when I go home to Chicago, that's another place. It's just home.
Just home. We're joined by Bradley Jacobs, senior editor at Us Weekly. Good morning.
Morning, Harry.
You've talked to her 3 times just this year.
Jennifer has had a very busy year, 2 movies and 1 album, which is now in the top 5 on the Billboard charts. So, yeah, we've talked to her a lot at Us Weekly this year.
Yeah. You were telling me, well, just take a look at this picture. This is a picture from inside the little sort of dust jacket in the
when she came to Us Weekly for lunch, she talked about this photograph being an homage to her mother. It's based on an old portrait of her mom. They were obviously, very, very tight. She's always talked about music and family music. Those are the most important elements in her life.
Yeah, there's a famous story about her being a tiny, tiny child, and the choir was trying to hit a note or something, and she could hit the note, and her grandmother said, "Mark my word, this child is going to sing." That's
right. She was in church, and she was just 7 months old, and the choir was having problems, and she managed to hit it. Yeah. And I'll tell you, we had lunch with her at the magazine, and she was speaking normally about her life and movies and music, and then somebody asked her to sing, and just without missing a beat, she started a gospel that is currently on her album, and it just had the whole room floored.
Yeah, absolutely mesmerized. Let's go back to American Idol. This young woman comes on the American stage, and in this show that chews people up for a living, quite honestly.
Especially Simon Cowell.
Yeah, well, just think about that, because there are so many more that end up by the wayside, that end up in the spotlight, and then being able to not only rise through that, but then able to hold it. So few can hold it.
She's always had a lot of confidence. Her mother gave her that confidence. She's always credited her mom. Her mom was the one who saw the flyer for American Idol auditions and encouraged her to fly from Chicago to Atlanta to audition for the show. She made it in, even though they sort of grilled Jennifer on being a cruise line singer. They sort of said, no, we want to hear something better than that.
Right.
And of course, she did extremely well in the show. She advanced all the way to the top 10. Many people thought she was a winner. She was, for a while, the front runner on the show, but there was a lot of competition that year. Yeah. Although, of course, she did get her revenge the next year.
Incredible. So she gets cast in a million years would anybody have said, well, she's going to be the one who's going to be in Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
And let alone walk away with an Oscar.
Right. She beat out something like 780 other actresses and singers, including Fantasia Barrino, who had won Idol her year. Fantasia later called her and said, "Girl, you got my part." Yeah. But she excelled. She stole the movie from Beyonce, who was in the main character, the Diana Ross role. And from the start, the first time I saw a screening, I said, well, obviously she's going to win the Oscar. I mean, it was very, very clear. And then she did. She won every Critics Award and walked away with an Oscar at 25, one of the youngest people ever to win an Oscar, especially for a debut performance.
And she walks out over the weekend and says, here's $100,000. Please help me find my nephew.
This is, I mean, obviously the most devastating thing that could happen to people, to a person. She's lost her mother, she's lost her brother, and there's this missing nephew. She's never left Chicago. She's always said Chicago was home. That's where she's normal. That's where she has to make her own breakfast. Yeah. And obviously, family is very crucial to her.
Yeah. Bradley, thank you so much for stopping in.
Thank you, Harry.
Do appreciate it. Here's Meg.
Thanks, Harry. Coming up next, how Madonna is reportedly planning on celebrating her divorce with a shovel. This is The Early Show on CBS.
This is my hotel.
My hotel.